What's good YouTube, it's your boy RonnyPugs back again with another video for you guys, and today I wanted to share some interesting details regarding the Peter Parker of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man universe, as well as share some details regarding the universe itself. So in the video I made a few months ago looking at various concept arts and deleted scenes for the web shooters that almost ended up in the Raimi films, I mentioned how I've heard rumors of these web shooters still existing in the novelization of the film, which was written by Peter David and based on the original screenplay by David Cope. I didn't find anything regarding web shooters at the time, however recently taking another look at the novel, I ended up finding some interesting details surrounding Peter Parker's past, as well as evidence of other superheroes possibly existing before Spider-Man, specifically Captain America. And getting straight to it, the first part of the video will cover the details of Peter's backstory this novel provides, which is unlike the comics where Peter has spent his entire life in New York. The Sam Raimi version of Peter Parker is originally from Wisconsin. Now this isn't groundbreaking information, but it is interesting nonetheless because every other version of the character that I know of has always lived in New York. In fact, both the 616 and 1610 versions of the character were born in New York, so something like this was completely new for the time. This gets brought up when a 4-year-old Peter Parker first arrives at Uncle Ben and Aunt May's house after the tragic death of his parents, which we will get into later. Peter meets his aunt and uncle for the first time since he was a baby, and he still doesn't quite understand why he's there. But during this chapter, Aunt May asks young Peter if he wants to go and see his new room, which Peter follows up with, "Can I go back to my old room?" Obviously confused at the whole situation, to which Aunt May replies as sincere as she can be, "Peter, your old room is back in Wisconsin. You'll be staying here in New York with us." And that's basically all that's said about Peter's life before moving to New York that I know of. Like I said, this isn't too groundbreaking, but it's still something to note considering this is probably the only version of Peter Parker born outside of New York. This is a very emotional scene so far, however later in the same chapter, Peter says to Uncle Ben, "My parents aren't coming back, are they?" And Uncle Ben responds with, "No Peter, they were killed in a plane crash, it was an accident." And this is where it gets interesting because Peter doesn't believe Uncle Ben when he said his parents' death was an accident, because Peter hands Uncle Ben a Captain America comic and says that his parents were secret spies helping the country and that the Red Skull is the one who killed them. And that right there confirms that Captain America exists within the Raimi Spider-Man films, whether it just be through comics or like it is in the first Avenger where Captain America was a real person with comic books based off him. If you asked me, I would say that the Raimi universe's Captain America only existed through comics because after Peter hands Uncle Ben the comics, Uncle Ben asks Peter if he likes these old comic book heroes. Which to me is implying that Captain America only exists through the comics, because if he was a real person in this universe, why wouldn't Uncle Ben say something like, "I remember when he was around when I was a kid"? And not only does this confirm that some form of Captain America exists within the universe, this whole scene is an exact reference to the death of Richard and Mary Parker in the comics, where they were secret spies working for S.H.I.E.L.D., hunting down the Red Skull and eventually dying in a plane crash. Now it is cool knowing that a character like Captain America exists within the universe, even if it's only through comic books, because we do know that some form of Superman, Shazam, and Doctor Strange exist within these movies. So it's likely Marvel and DC exist within the Raimi films, which is good to know because it adds more to this scene here in Spider-Man 2. It's safe to assume Aunt May throughout the same Captain America comics we learn about in the novel. So let me know what you guys thought of the video. Did you know about Captain America existing within the Raimi films? And do you think he only exists through comics, or he was an actual person with comics based off him, like in the first Avenger? Also, what do you think about this Peter Parker being from Wisconsin? Do you think it's a good change, or would you rather have him spend his entire life in New York? Personally, I'd rather have him always in New York just because that's how I know him. And as always, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe. Follow my social medias, and I will see you guys again in the next video.